Welcome back to Industry Conversation. My guest today is an astute RMC strategist, the Managing Director of Starcom Media Perspectives, Mr. Jude ODIA. It's a privilege to have you join us on the program.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Happy New Year.
I wish you the same,
Happy
sir.
New Year. Yeah.
Okay, I know that you're a leader in the industry, and so I want us to start with your assessment of the Nigerian advertising industry, especially the media planning and buying space.
Okay. I usually start by saying that marketing communication is a subset of the Nigerian economy, right? So whatever happens to the economy, good or bad, has a direct implications for us, right? We all know what happened last year, election year, kind of our business started slowly, right? Quarter one, quarter two, quarter three tried to pick up, neither here or there. But the important thing to note is that just like most election years across the world, all right, advertising spend usually should go up, right? So if you, for example, this year in the United States, projections that advertising spend could go up because of the elections. However, ours is kind of reversed. It doesn't really go up because there are some, as it were, strategies used to ensure that, as it were, in election years, advertising spend is not actually like a cash in the pocket investment. There are other strategies used to advertise without having to use actual cash. That's a Nigerian strategy for you. So we didn't see that direct increase in spend because of elections, right? However, what we see is shifts of spend across channels, right? So there's a speculated possible single-digit increase in our ad spend. I'm yet to confirm that. But you see that the growth is going more to the digital space as against traditional space, right? So that's one thing noted. Then you're beginning to see a lot of what I call the increase of field marketing as against the C marketing. C marketing is a general top of mind awareness we see, right? So just see my ad on TV, see my ad on outdoor, right? That C advertising is that's plateaued and is gradually going down. What is much more powerful now is the field marketing, which is where you see the real stuff they call experiential. You're seeing big time influencer content marketing, and you're beginning to see the convergence of digital and experiential marketing. They're beginning to give it a good blend. And that is where the immediate potential growth is going to come from, right?
Okay, great. So what would you say are the major milestones of the industry last year, and what was the impact it had on the industry?
Milestones, if I have to, I'll have to think about that because last year was predominantly politics and all of the stories that come with it, right? Our industry, it was more like trying to find relevance, especially the traditional business. We're still fighting for relevance. We're still trying to realize that it's no longer so much of the traditional strategies that will take us to where we want to get to. It's now big data, it's now platform, it's now experience, right? So we need to mature quickly, all right? Except other people who arrive earlier to the table, we eat our lunch. So things are moving on a constant basis.
Okay, so let's talk about challenges then.
Yeah.
What would you say were the challenges the industry faced last year, and how were professionals able to combat those challenges?
For me, one of them, you could say, trying to find a way to put better regulations in our market. It's welcome. However, there needs to be alignment from all the ecosystem players to ensure that we do it smoothly. Still a learning curve for us We have a lot of things to learn there. So that's one aspect. The second aspect is we're still trying to find a good blend between the offline and online marketing. All right? Some people are on the extreme. So it's either somebody tells you, oh, digital marketing is it, or online marketing is it, traditional is going to die. Traditional guys are somewhere struggling to survive and we're still going to be relevant. And I'm saying none will go to the grave. Digital has come to stay. Traditional media will remain there. However, the consumer will continue to morph. And the consumer does not, as it were, engage in these two divide in isolation. So they could be on digital at the same time on traditional. So how best do we understand how to integrate communication for the consumer? So it means a blend of your mainstream and digital. So whoever can learn how best to blend it will win ultimately. But you can't stay at the extreme and eat the bigger pie. You need to come to the middle where you integrate very well and have the consumer at the heart of all you do. Then you become very, very relevant in the space.
Okay, great. So let me take you on the traditional advertising. What do you see to be the future of traditional advertising?
Is it globally or locally?
Both.
So globally, to a large extent, what you see is that we will no longer play traditional media the way it used to. So if you go to Europe or US now, they no longer say things like TV. You see things like video, right? They calibrate it as video, all right? Video can be on your normal TV. It can be on your social network platforms. So people need to understand that, as it were, the currency right now is content, all right? The currency is content. It's no longer the platform. It's the content and how you use the content across platforms. For example, the way you use content on regular TV is not the same way you use it on your social space. There are adaptations, there are specifications, there are nuances, all right? So that's what we need to bury ourselves learning. That's number one. Number two is that, to a large extent, we still haven't understood how to best integrate them, all right? I still see a lot of plans. It's still traditional, and you hardly get a blend where you can calculate metrics across the two. Do you understand what I'm saying now? For example, in Europe, they can give you metrics that is a blend of the two. It's like an aggregate. We need to get there, all right? So that people can know when I can move spend from one space when it's like saturated to another space. But it has to be scientific. It has to be proven so that the clients or the guy spending the money will understand why I need to move from here to here. It's not a blind choice
Data
or
is
decision
required.
making. Fantastic data.
All right. So let's talk about trends. Last year, we saw a couple of trends. In fact, it was a surge of trends.
Yeah.
What do you see as some of the trends that might come on this year?
More of content, snackable content. Apart from what our Nollywood guys are doing, they're doing fantastically well with originals that are breaking records across both locally and internationally. But from marketing point of view, we need to redefine content. The traditional TVC mode is going away, right? Many people are no longer ready to spend big budgets to shoot a TVC, right? So we need to understand that, and get on with it. The other thing we need to understand is, to a very large extent, it's difficult to control the what you call the spillage of foreign content into Nigeria. And that borders on regulation. It's difficult to regulate content across borders because we're in a globalized space where it's no longer like the world is like a kitchen, right? So we need to be careful with regulation of content. If we are not careful, it might actually, be haunting us in terms of both revenue and even how we practice, right?
Okay, great. So let's talk about influencer marketing. What is your opinion about influencer marketing? Do you think influencers play a pivotal role to brand campaigns?
There is no doubt about that. I think it was year or last 2 years, I had said on this program that the space to watch is actually content marketing, because influencer marketing is within that same space, content marketing. So in Nigeria, it's gradually, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And let me tell you why it is looking this, the potential is looking this way, is because there's this immediacy in how you measure the impact of it, right? There are metrics that you can see on the go basis to show you what can potentially be the impact, right? For example, if you have an influencer that you are aware of the kind of numbers the person is commanding in the space, and you connect, all right, in terms of what you do content marketing and all of that, there are possibilities of you correlating what you spent on that influencer to the sales that you made within a particular period. Right? Yeah. I've seen metrics that are developing now where you can actually say, this influencer at this point, we had events, there were meet and greets, this number of people had experiences with the ambassador, with the brand, and in 6 months later or 3 months later, there is a considerable spike in our sales, or either in volume or in value. That is something that clients are interested in because there is a quick way to assess return on investment, right? So it will continue to grow. The reason is because traditional media hardly can give you that. Even if it gives it to you, it's delayed. Do you understand? It's not as immediate as what you see. So for me, where the interesting thing lies is, how do we aggregate all of this and say, you know what, if you did offline and you did online, you did content influencer, how do we aggregate everything and say, okay, fine, this is what each and every one brought to the table, and this is the aggregate value of all of them. That is the next space to be.
Okay, great. So talking about measurement, how are professionals, or how do they need to effectively track success of campaigns? What is the measurement method?
I think the digital space is beating us to it. They got it right from the onset. It's automated. It's foolproof to some extent. I know that some people say there's some back-end stuff, but at least they've got it. Traditional was still struggling. I think it was last year or last 2 years, the government tried to set up a measurement. I don't know where we're at it, but even if you ask me, right, I think we're a bit too slow for the kind of progress we want to see in this space. The fact that we still don't have, what you call recency, in our data. People are still bantering one and the same thing, just in different form and shape. The point is that we need to really get better in terms of how we aggregate and how we use data in Nigeria, no doubt.
Okay, great. So let's talk about the future of media planning and buying in Nigeria alongside programmatic advertising. What's your view about that?
Programmatics, of course, is what you call precision marketing, right? The fact that it preaches both efficiency and effectiveness, right? I know who I am targeting. I can target the person. I can prove to you that this person received this. I can even give you an idea of what was the change in behavior afterwards of that same person, right? If you have to compare offline and online, traditional media was still very much struggling in that, and that's one of the reasons where it looks as if it's difficult to actually sustain or prove relevance in traditional media, because people want to see real value, right? I keep giving this instance. If you go to a medical doctor, right, says you have headache, they give you a tablet, you drink. After 6 hours, you are relieved. We need to get to that space where people can hold hands and say, this is what advertising did for my business. Some of us are trying to, but we need to get to a point where both parties or all parties are really on the same table to say, yeah, this is the value that we did bring to the table.
Okay, great. That's so well said. Let's talk about 2024. It's no doubt that with all the challenges that 2023 brought,
Yeah.
We entered 2024 with a lot of optimism. What would you say is your projection for the first quarter of 2024?
At least if not for anything, I'm a I'm a practitioner. I hope and I want to see a better first quarter this year. I can already feel it. If I have to use what's happening here to gauge the market, brands are embracing the market earlier, more optimistic this year than last year. So I hope to see a huge improvement, overall this year over last year.
Okay, so what would you say is your projection for the ad spend for the year?
At least I see nothing less than between 6 to 8% growth in last year's spend this year. Yeah, minimum single digits. I don't see a double digit, single digits, but I see a growth. Yeah.
That's good. Okay, so let's talk about advertising professionals here and with their contemporaries across the globe. How would you say that professionals on this side of the world are doing compared to their contemporaries?
I think last year we ticked a lot of needles. The local practice is gaining international attention. That can be seen from how many international awards some of my agencies got. And those are respected awards across the world. So I think just like what you see in music, you see in movies, last year there was a very good turn in terms of our practice, that is advertising, local practice, getting international recognition. It's quite heartwarming. For us, the task now is how do we take it to the next level, right? Yeah.
Taking it to the next level. So what's your view about in-housing versus agency resourcing?
Now, somebody will look at me and say, oh, after all, you're an agency guy, you're biased, right? So you know what my answer will be. I believe in specialization. I believe that specialization ultimately will give you efficiency. Some people think otherwise, right? Because efficiency plus effectiveness is ultimately what the goal should be. All right. So I have seen most businesses that embrace in-house or what you call in-house agency and all of that. If you track them overall, you see that you have less than 50% success rate. Less than 50%. And I'm talking factually. All right. Most go and look at the top 2 clients per category across the world. Most of them are more into outsourcing their marketing or their advertising than in-house, because there is a depth that a specialist will go, that you that is supposed to be manufacturing something or producing something, you will not go. All right. And if you have a stiff competition to battle, then I don't think you will do the two and not be distracted. Right. So I will always go but measure success. I even advocate performance-driven compensation or remuneration, right? Tie a percentage of what your payout to performance, right? Because it's not like Father Christmas, but less specialty, right? Be the rule.
Some people even pay for Father Christmas. Okay, so let's talk about collaboration.
Yeah.
It's not news that when you hear of mergers or collaborations, some agents feel or they fear being sidelined.
Yeah.
They fear, being swallowed up.
Yeah.
What's your view about collaboration?
It's a cultural thing. We need to understand this. And let me give an example. A white man starts a business with the intention to sell it after 10 years.
Wow. Okay.
I have 2 friends. Started a business. The intention from day one is to sell at year 10.
Okay.
I can tell you many Nigerians start a business. Once the business becomes successful, it becomes like a girlfriend, your baby you don't want to let go. So it's a cultural thing, right? And we need to understand it from those kinds of perspectives, right? The trust quotient in this part of the world is very low. It's very, very low. I say that with every sense of I don't know how to say it. It's not something nice to say, but the trust quotient in this part of the world is very low. So people are skeptical about the true intent of the partnering parties. Do you understand? But the guys over there are much more disciplined and defined in how to go about it. So everybody will be seen to be treated fairly and everybody go home. But I doubt if we got into that point. So
can we say it's a function of the system we find ourselves in?
yeah, we're not that matured enough to engage in those kinds of things. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay, great. So let's talk about AI. What do you think, or how do you think professionals need to leverage AI, to boost, campaigns, to boost, their general, what's it called, at success at the end of the day?
Yeah. I was having a conversation with a professional friend, I think it was Friday, and we're just saying to ourselves, why are big businesses across the world downsizing? I don't want to mention specific names that we know. The big businesses that control the big economies like US, across Europe, why are they downsizing? And why is it even spilling into places like Nigeria? The truth of the matter is this. There is a subtle but steady. I need to find the right phrase. AI is gradually showing its impact in the sense that it can do a lot like human beings used to do. And big businesses are beginning to see, you know what? If these robots can do it more efficiently, hey guys, let's find a way to be more efficient. It's going to continue, right? So what I say is the quicker we learn how to harness AI to improve on our productivity, first as a practitioner and as businesses, so that we can grow our business, grow our revenues, grow your margins, the better. If we still see AI as one thing that is not going to do anything to us, it might creep in late at night to not just eat our dinner, but overtake our kitchen. Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's talk about Starcom Media Perspectives. Now, what are the products portfolio that your agency offers that sets you apart?
Okay, I don't like hard sell, right? I don't like hard sell, but now you've asked it, I think it's just one simple thing. That we realize that coming from traditional media space, right, the world has changed. The world has embraced digital, but that's not really what's important. What's important is the consumer. How do you blend traditional and digital and mix it in such a way that it becomes what the consumer really needs? That's what really sets us apart. We are a blend of the two, a perfect blend of the two. So you come here, you want a traditional media agency, great. The portfolio is there for you. If you're talking about digital, portfolio is there for you. But it's the ability to integrate seamlessly. That's really it.
So your focus is on the consumer, the customer.
At all times.
That's awesome. So what would you say makes a great campaign?
I think it's two ways, right? Two ways. And the default way is, of course, what's the implication on business, right? Is my volume growing? Is my value growing? That's the default one. However, it's about what is the equity of the brand at every point in time? It's the campaign making the brand a much more loved brand than it was before the campaign, right? Because a business may not be profitable today, but if the business is very, very in sync with the market, the consumers love the brand. That's a question of little time. I was watching, Jeff Bezos of Amazon. He said he ran Amazon for over 8 to 9 years at a loss. People were calling him, look, are you okay? But he knew he was doing something new. And only him and a few people understood where we were going to. Today, you know what it is. So it's important to know that, somebody might be building for tomorrow. You don't assess him by today's results because he knows where he's going to, right? So that's that kind of tussle between long-term and short-term evaluations.
Okay, so let's talk about the ethos and principles on which Starcom Media Perspective is positioned. What would you say are those defining ethos and principles?
For us, it's about ensuring that we bring alive Starcom global philosophy to the market. So if you know anything that makes Starcom across the world, our mandate is to replicate it here in Nigeria.
So what makes Starcom?
They call us the human experience company. All right. And what it means is, like I said, it's about how you best connect with the consumer. It's not about traditional media. It's not about digital. Because at the end, it might just be slices of each and every of that makes it. So our experience company, we give you things you don't see anywhere else. I don't like hard sell, so let me just be careful.
I can imagine that. Okay, so let's come to JUDE ODIA. Who is JUDE ODIA, and how have you been able to achieve this growth success in your career trajectory?
For me, I think I just started. I don't think they've really done so much. But JUDE ODIA is a Nigerian. All my years here, practices here, few in and out trainings. I think what really interests me is to see our practice really, really become something that the country can say, if not for advertising practice, right? The world will say, oh, let's move international conferences to Nigeria because these guys are taking they are moving the needles, right? It's just to see the practice, have a very respected practice or profession. And probably before one drops the towel, probably do one or two things that people can always refer to later on to say, oh, this guy was part of this and part of this. Quiet guy. I like my space.
Okay, so tell us, have you always wanted to be a marketer? Have you always wanted to be an advertiser?
Honestly speaking, right, it was a career that I stumbled into. I've always loved broadcasting, right? So when I was leaving broadcasting, the closest profession that I could probably use my skills in broadcasting to still, work was advertising. So I embraced advertising, and so far, no regrets.
Just two more questions, and I'll let you go. Now, what would you say are some of the memorable jingles that have stuck with you over the years?
Wow, that's a number of them. I love this Omo, super blue, Omo. What is it brighter and yeah, I think I like that way back, way back. Then I love the star shine bubble, right? I love that ad. Then there's this ad too, Golda, right? When they were doing ultimate search, there's this about the stature of a man. I also liked that. I may not remember the copy and how the TVC went.
Okay, so my last and final question, the one I told you I was going to
Yeah,
ask.
yeah.
Now, what's your favorite industry mantra or what's your favorite marketing mantra?
It's from Ogilvy,
Okay.
right? He says that he knows that some part of advertising doesn't really work, but what he doesn't know is which part of it doesn't work. All right, and I think it's still true, very true. We're still struggling to measure the real impact of marketing, of advertising to the business. Digital is coming with some sort of solutions, but making sure that we have an aggregated value coming from all the stuffs we did is another level that we're still at it.
It's been a privilege and a
Thank you.
fantastic time spending
Thank you.
time with you here on the program. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you, ma'am.
And that's much we can take on this week's episode of Marketing Edge on TV. Join us same time next week for another informative episode. I'm Oluwabukola Omoni. Bye for now.